Good afternoon, everyone. I'm from Portland, and I just had a chance to walk by Salt and Straw. I didn't know Salt and Straw was up here, the Portland-based ice cream chain. And there was no line, which is really unusual. In Portland, you have to go at 10:30 in the morning to get ice cream and not wait for an hour and a half for ice cream. So anyway, great to see all of you, and hello to everyone on the live stream. My name's Kristen Rainey. I work at Google. And we have an internal food program. We run 224 cafes for Google employees at our offices in 55 countries. I lead our procurement strategy for how we're sourcing food, beverages, and operating supplies in each region where we operate. And I also lead our sustainability efforts. And right now, our priorities in that area are in food waste prevention, transparency, and plant-forward diets. At Google, you might not be surprised that we're trying to think about how we can leverage technology and data to tackle food issues. So we're tracking our food waste so that we have data to inform our procurement decisions. We're using behavioral sciences to make the most sustainable and healthy choices, which are generally one and the same, the easiest choice or the default, like the plant-forward option first, the salad station front and center, the desserts hidden and pre-portioned, and sugary beverages behind frosted glass. From a food waste perspective, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. We need to address this in a multi-pronged way, and we need to do so with urgency. From a policy perspective, we need better, clearer labeling around expiration dates of products. They're so misleading. Best by, used by. It's really confusing as a consumer to know when things really need to be discarded, and it's leading to a lot of unnecessary waste. At Google, we're focused on prevention of food waste, so we use the data that we obtain from Lean Path technology to help us make better choices in our kitchens. But, it's not just Google and other companies that have a role to play in this. It's all of us as well. We can tackle this issue at home. As individuals, there's so much we can do. And it's not complicated, but it takes discipline. So for starters, we need to learn how to use our freezers. It sounds really basic. We need to learn how to cut up broccoli stalks and use them instead of just the broccoli crowns. It's amazing. Why haven't I been doing that since birth? I mean, it's so obvious and they're so tasty. Beet greens, I think I like those more than the actual beets themselves. So we need to be conscious of what's in our fridge. We need to make our lives easier. Let's use clear containers in the fridge for leftovers. Put them front and center so we don't forget about them. And then we have to actually eat them. There's that last step of eating them. And if we're going out of town tomorrow, we need to put everything in the freezer. These sound like really basic things, but these are things that we can all do tomorrow. In addition to food waste, transparency is another issue we spend a lot of time thinking about at Google. There are a few categories in procurement where transparency is really sorely lacking. So seafood is one, cacao that fuels the chocolate many of us enjoy is another. It's amazing that these days we still have issues around mislabeling of fish. And the fact that it's 2018 and we still have forced labor in our supply chains. It's totally unacceptable. At Google, we have a few programs where we've been using technology to try to tackle some of these issues. So one team has developed a program called Global Fishing Watch, which basically is using technology as a transparency tool to help track illegal and unreported fishing. But there's so much more that we can do. And from a plant-forward perspective, if lentils are the promised lands, from an environmental and health perspective, not to mention from a financial win, wouldn't we solve a ton of problems if all of us committed to making those the primary protein in our diets? So I'm aware I might ruffle a few feathers, but isn't the most sustainably raised grass-fed beef still so much less efficient in general than beans? And there's so many amazing technology solutions out there for growing plants in more efficient ways. For example, using less water or other inputs. But I still scratch my head when I think about how are we able to grow amazing vegetables without soil? Isn't soil the heart of everything? So I know you're going to hear a lot more details from the talented panel that's following about all these issues. But I'd like to close that I'm just not confident that we're moving fast enough on the Paris Climate Accords of 2 degrees. And what does that even mean for us from a food perspective? So does that mean that you eat a burger on Monday, a beef burger, and then you're good for your beef consumption for the week? I'd say that's probably about the max we should be eating. And so do we all, and I say do we all as a fairly privileged audience, the fact that we can spend a Saturday here in Seattle talking about these important food issues that we all value so much, but do we all have a responsibility to do more than the minimum? So I'd like to ask, could 0.5 ounces per person per day average beef consumption be a goal that we could all shoot for, a cap under which we could all commit? We're not saying we all need to go vegan, although if that's what you want to do, that's great. Maybe I should go vegan, to be honest. But, maybe we could all be flexitarian. Maybe we could all focus mostly on plants. So what if, as a start, you left this event committed to at home only eating plant proteins or plant proteins and seafood? Consider it. Thank you.